This helps. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that need to be done by me. That was said by Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, at the age of 94. You know, God willing. I'm on what?
He's on. Turn it back so he can...
No, it's recording. Thank you for the backup there. My partner, Jermaine, helping me out. Thank you. Anyway, at the age of 94, God willing, if I live to be 94, that I would have that energy and zeal and enthusiasm for life, have that fire. My gosh. I'm glad to be here, and I have the humble privilege of delivering the message today. As mentioned earlier, we've been discussing the power of zeal, and the theme being connecting with enthusiasm. And I'd like to say thank you to Roger Harvey. He about hit all the corners, and I gotta have a few crumbs left over to speak on the theme. So Roger, blessings to you for your talk last week. I thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it, and it was very, very emotionally, spiritually filled, and I really like that. It really fed me, and I appreciate that. So yeah, enthusiasm, connecting. We find when we talk about the 12 powers and our abilities that we have, that combined together has a synergistic effect, that we work towards regenerating the true man-woman, the higher standard of what it means to be, a divinely inspired human being, and putting all the pieces together with love, judgment, all the other powers. Enthusiasm, zeal, it's funny, some people are afraid of that word zeal because it represents maybe a little bit too much energy, and some people are kind of put off by that energy. Other people need that. It's kind of like, I like to think of it as, in another analogy, the gasoline of life. It fuels that engine, it sparks it. It's like, we've heard say that's like the electricity that fires a motor, or charges a motor. It's that something that makes something that's inanimate animate. It's that driving force, as they say. Charles Fillmore in The Revealing Word has this to say briefly about zeal. But I love that zest. It's great. He says, in intensity, ardor, enthusiasm, the inward fire of the soul that urges man onward, regardless of the intellectual mind of caution and conservatism. Conservatism. Zeal is the mighty force that incites the winds, the tides, the storms. It urges the planets on its course, spurs the ant to greater exertion. It is the urge behind all things. Zeal is the affirmative impulse of existence. Its command is go forward. It's like you wake up in the morning, we have friends and family that always say, oh, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, rise and shine. And, depending on where your level of zeal and enthusiasm is, you can decide for yourself, how you're going to, start your day. But for the most part, we look forward to, starting our day and bringing energy to it. And that's that enthusiasm, being enthused with it's a new day and we can get things better or do things in a different way, that maybe we can rethink things. And so we have a new day to begin. And that takes a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of zeal, a driving force. We have examples of there's examples of overabundant zeal, and there's examples of people that maybe need a little more enthusiasm in their lives. Connecting with the enthusiasm it's an organic process. It's part of, like, as I said before, all of our abilities. And so we're always connected. It's just the work we have, at least speaking for myself, is staying connected to my enthusiasm, to my zeal. Because there's so many things going on in the world that I get distracted. And sometimes, like anybody else, I'm human and I get the so-called blahs, and I feel like, I get the Eeyore. We've been talking about, the Tao of Pooh here in Unity, which is fun. It's whimsical and I enjoy that. Because we can see that personalities in a lot of different people, different characters. So the blahs are kind of like the Eeyore, of course. And the challenge is, from day to day, is connecting with my zeal, with my enthusiasm. It keeps me motivated. I got to find new things that spur me on, that thrust me forward. Being present enables me to be buying tickets for my future. And I'm working towards, what I don't know will happen in the future, but if I'm here present, at least I have a good solid idea of what might be, or working the possibilities, my potentialities with, discernment and making good choices for myself day to day. It's my work. I think everybody's work in terms of staying connected to your enthusiasm. In my study for this talk, I came across some interesting analogies about overzealous people, which we call zealots, and under-enthusiastic people, which we call people who are not less motivated. A lot of people are probably familiar with multi-level marketing. People that get involved with that, which is I am one of them myself. But I can relate to this analogy is the fact that you have two types of personalities when they get enthusiastic about a product. One wants to share the product because they use it themselves and they think it'll benefit their friends and family, and they share their enthusiasm about it. But they do it in a way that's not overly aggressive. But then on the other hand, one who has an overdeveloped sense of enthusiasm and is really overzealous is he's trying to persuade you to join his downline so he can bolster his network of a multi-level empire, whatever it is. It's more for selfish reasons, in terms of being motivated through that kind of zealous behavior. So I kind of like to relate to the other side of that, where I like the product and I like to share it with people, but I'm not going to hit them over the head with my box of soap or whatever it is I'm enthused about. But the fact that I'm enthused, that's a good sign. When I'm not enthused, that's kind of a warning, sets up a flag for me. Well, what's causing my lack of zeal, lack of enthusiasm? And then I have to say, look within myself and say, well, I really could do a better job of staying connected with this divine principle of enthusiasm and zeal. And that's our work. It's my work on a daily basis. In the Bible, we read about the conversion of Saul of Tarsus. And when it came to persecuting this new cult sect called Jesus followers, he was very zealous in persecuting and finding them out and persecuting them and bringing them to the Jewish authorities of the day. And the Jewish authorities, they thought Saul was doing a great job, hey, go for it, you're doing a good job. And so he's very zealous in his persecution of early day Christians. And then a funny thing happened on the way to Damascus. He got suddenly, of course, we know the story, he was struck by sudden insight. That can happen to a lot of us in terms of all of a sudden we have that aha, ooh, gosh, really? I see the light now. I see, I attempt to change my ways or rethink this. Well, it happened to Saul, and Saul became the Apostle Paul. But that didn't change his sense of zeal, because what happened once he converted to being a Christian, he was responsible for writing a lot of the letters to the early Christian churches, and he was out there really promoting, the whole new early church of Christianity. So he became very zealous in his conversion. So the idea of zeal, enthusiasm can be used for good or bad, depending on the context we put it in or we find ourselves, responding to. I like that fact that we have zeal, enthusiasm to start all things. It's a great instigator. How many of us know people that instigate things and then after a while the zeal or the enthusiasm kind of falls off to the side and things are left undone. There's no work through. They don't complete the task because all of a sudden they lose their enthusiasm. It kind of reminds me of a story I read about, like when they launch a rocket. The first stage is zeal, enthusiasm. It blasts off and lifts the payload up into outer space. And then at a certain point it loses its propellant and falls away. And it takes the second stage to further launch out into space and to go in orbit. Well, zeal kind of works in conjunction with the other powers. So once zeal has expended itself for starting projects or pursuing things, then it works with other powers like wisdom, judgment, strength, stick-to-itiveness. So you see how all these powers are integrated together and has a synergistic effect to create a whole in terms of the regeneration of us being better Christ people, for lack of a better word. And that's what we're here in Unity for. We come here, to remind ourselves, of course, that we all are one. We all have the same divine spirit within us. And it's all reflected not only here in the West, but it's, world wisdom traditions. They're after the same thing. They're trying to grasp and understand what it is that, moves them forward, that divine spark in them. What is the same in the Eastern traditions of the Namaste? It's I salute the divinity within you. I see that in you. I see the spark of God in you and all, in everyone, everything, always. So that's that. In the gasoline of life, I don't know why I think about gasoline. Maybe because I have a truck and I'm focused on my truck and it takes gas. But I'm very, very enthusiastic with the fact that if I put gas in my truck, I can go down the road and get accomplished the things that I need to get accomplished for the day. And that's good. And I appreciate that. But I know it has to work with my other abilities and powers. Speaking of which, I like the Fillmores because they are the touchstone of our movement in Unity. The fact that what drew me to Unity was this concept of practical Christianity, taking spiritual principles and applying them in practical ways and how they can apply that in my life. And the metaphysical interpretations, well, that's all well and good, but if you can't apply them to the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis, well, then what purpose and what good is it? So that's what I like about Unity, the idea of practical Christianity. Cora Fillmore was Charles Fillmore's second wife after Myrtle. And, Charles had been quoted a lot, because he's the co-founder of Unity, and he's the one that really brought Unity to a larger worldwide attention. And Cora, in the 12 Powers of Man, she wrote a second book reinterpreting Charles's first work, 12 Powers of Man, into Christ enthroned in man. And I like Cora because she gets to the crux of the matter. She cuts to the chase. She's right there. She doesn't elaborate too much, and she pretty much has a pretty good idea, the pulse on the principles. And in regards to enthusiasm and zeal, I'd just like to read you this brief passage. And I really like what she has to say about this. And she says, "The world has been zealous in advocating reforms. The trouble with all reforms has been that those who were behind them have tried to compel others to change their ways without changing their hearts. When the principles of practical Christianity get a deep hold of one's consciousness, one is not only willing to change, but to work continuously to lay hold of the spiritual powers that will transform him. Application of the fundamental principles of Christianity, that is, of love towards God and humanity, makes new creatures of men and women. This is true today, as it has been true all down through the ages. But no great inspiration is going to emanate from a lukewarm religion. One must be zealous in one's work. Courageous, zealous religion is the power that transforms one, that makes one want to be on the right side of every proposition. We hear it said very often that there is no place in the commercial world for religion, that religion is a thing to be used on the Sabbath, that it is not practical for everyday affairs. There are many clear-thinking people who turn away from the church, presumably because it is of no value in their lives. Ministers are often troubled because they cannot make some people keenly interested in religion. The work of every minister is to put religion into the hearts of men and women, to keep religion uppermost in their thoughts. One cannot accomplish such work by picturing the negative side of life, by preaching that we are poor, miserable worms of the dust, and that we be righteous, and to be righteous, we must be poverty-stricken. But we can accomplish that by accepting and practicing the real principles of Christianity, which are practical, scientific, and substantial. And with the right mental attitude, we will solve all the problems of the world. When a minister preaches the real religion, he is going to have his church filled with sound people who will be zealous to lay hold of and apply the Christ principle. So it's good to be zealous and have enthusiasm, but it's important to be enthusiastic and zealous about the right things. You know, the spiritual zeal is what we aim for in unity and in our day-to-day practice. When it manifests in other ways, then it has negative effects. And I like what she said about the fact that, reformers, they're very very zealous in their reforms, but yet they haven't changed their own hearts. It's like, to me, that's like the height of hypocrisy, that they go out and tell everybody what to do, but they don't do it themselves. It's kind of yucky. But I want to go into a meditation now. And Kathy, if you would mind giving me a little piano background, would be great. So I invite you to just kind of sit in your spot, you at home, and YouTube. Take a moment to get still. Let's start with our breath. Breathe in for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then hold for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And release. Once more, breathe in. Hold. And release. And one more time. Breathe in. Hold. And release. When we abide in this stillness, let us reaffirm and affirm that I am a beloved child of God, shining with the brilliance of the universe. This is expressed as optimism, abundance, and enthusiasm in my day-to-day living. If I feel less than enthusiastic or energetic in any area of my life, zeal is an ever-present energy that I may call upon. It ignites my dreams and fuels my life. It fills me from the inside out. As I enthusiastically express the spirit within me, I bubble over with joy. I do what I love, and I love what I do. I am vibrantly healthy. I am alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic about life. And I affirm my zeal shines from me, lighting my way forward and brightening our world. I glow. I am connected with enthusiasm. I am always connected with enthusiasm. For this, I am ever thankful, knowing that I have the ability and the power to fuel my life that leads me to my highest good today and all of my tomorrows. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this blessing of enthusiasm. I sizzle with zeal and am enthused with my life, connected to the divine within me. So it is, so it was, so it shall be, in and of the light of the Christ within us all. We offer this meditation. Thank you. As we come back into this room, I was reminded of a concept that was promoted by America's preeminent philosopher, Joseph Campbell. Back in the 80s, he did a great interview with Charles Moyer, the journalist. And out of those interviews, a series of talks, was a book that was titled The Power of Myth. But within those discussions, what grabbed me most was Joseph's saying of follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. So in other words, it's like follow your joy. Find your joy. And through that joy, you will awaken your enthusiasm for life. And if you're enthused about your life, and you have great zeal and zest, therein I think you'll find your joy and your bliss day to day. And so with that, bless this day, bless you. Thank you for coming. Namaste. Okay, we're going to say our prayer protection. Please join me in this. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.